Be honest about the thought you just had clicking on this. Propaganda? Sure, but it works on other people, not really on me. Most of us do that. We'll rate ourselves harder to fool than the people around us, calmer, more skeptical, better at spotting a lie. Researchers have a name for it, the third-person effect. Davison introduced it with examples from wartime propaganda, the pattern where people tend to assume the message lands on everyone but them. Here's the trap in that. The certainty that you're the exception isn't proof you're safe. It's often part of what keeps the guard down. Because propaganda was never built only for the gullible. It's built for normal, careful, intelligent minds. And on identity-charged issues, your intelligence can become one of the tools it uses. So I'm going to walk you the whole route. The 6 stops a lie can travel from a thing you'd laugh off to a thing you'd argue for, and show you why being smart doesn't automatically slow the trip down. Think of it as 6 stops on one road. We'll light up each one as we reach it and watch how far down it we've all already come. The first stop is the engine the other 5 run on. Stop 1 is almost stupidly simple. Say something enough times and it can start to feel true, whether or not it is. The first time she sees the claim, she laughs. By the 10th time, it's just part of the furniture.
I keep seeing
In 1977, researchers had people rate a long list of statements as true or false, then brought them back weeks later and again after that. The ones they'd simply seen before got rated as more true each time, true ones and false ones alike. Repetition alone moved the needle, and here's the part that should bother you. In 2015, Lisa Fazio's team showed this works even when you already know the right answer. People who could correctly state the fact still rated the repeated falsehood as truer. And in that study, cognitive ability and thinking style didn't reliably shrink the effect. Nothing about the claim got better. It just got familiar, and familiar is the costume truth wears. That's stop 1, and it's the engine every other stop runs on. Stop 2 takes that and scales it, because you also use a shortcut to judge how common a belief is. If you've heard it a lot, you assume a lot of people hold it. But a lot and a lot of people aren't the same thing. In 2007, Weaver and colleagues found that one person repeating the same opinion several times made it feel almost as widespread as that opinion coming from several different people. So a handful of loud, tireless accounts can feel like a much bigger mood than they are. You're not counting people, you're feeling familiarity and mistaking it for a crowd. That's stop 2, and it's how a fringe idea can start to feel more common than it is. Stop 3 is why the version that travels far is often not the calm, reasonable one. It's the one that makes you feel something hot. Outrage, fear, disgust. In 2017, researchers analyzed around 500,000 posts about heated issues. Each extra moral emotional word in a message, words like evil, shame, destroy, made it spread about 20% further. Moralized emotion was the fuel. And here's the quiet half of that finding. The outrage spread mostly to people who already agreed. So it doesn't just travel, it travels in circles, getting louder inside one side more than crossing to the other. Which means the most shareable message isn't necessarily the most true one. Often it's the most enraging one. And your anger is doing the distribution for free. 3 stops in. Stop 4 is where a claim stops being an idea and becomes a flag. Once a belief belongs to your group, holding it isn't about evidence anymore. It's about belonging.
people like me.
And the pull of my group is almost insultingly easy to switch on. In 1971, Henri Tajfel split teenagers into groups by something meaningless, which of 2 painters they supposedly preferred. No history, no contact, nothing real at stake. Instantly they favored their own group, handing them more and often choosing to maximize the gap even when it meant giving their own side less. From a thin label's worth of us, now attach a real claim to a real side. Disagreeing can stop feeling like weighing evidence and start feeling like betraying your people. That's stop 4, and it's why facts can feel threatening. You're not just testing a claim, you're protecting a team. Which brings us to stop 5, the one the title promised, and the one that should genuinely unsettle you. Because on identity-charged questions, being smart can stop protecting you and start working against you. You'd assume the better someone is with facts and numbers, the harder they are to fool. In 2017, Dan Kahan's team set out to test that. They gave people data to interpret. On a neutral topic, a skin cream trial, the better you were with numbers, the better you did. Simple. Then they took the identical data and relabeled it as a study about a charged political issue. Before I tell you what happened, guess which group did best. Hold it in your head. The most numerate people became the most polarized. They didn't use their skill only to find the right answer. When the correct answer threatened their side, they used that skill to build a better case for the answer their side already wanted. That's the trap inside intelligence. A sharp mind isn't only a lie detector, it's also a world-class lawyer, and it can defend whatever your identity hired it to defend. 5 stops in, and I'm too smart for this, is starting to look less like armor. So stop 6, someone finally debunks it, clearly with sources, and you'd think that's the end. It isn't.
What if there's
First, let's kill a myth of its own. You've probably heard that correcting people backfires, that facts make them dig in harder. One of the largest tests of that, across thousands of people and dozens of claims, couldn't find it. Corrections mostly do nudge people toward the truth. The real problem is quieter. A 2019 review of 32 experiments found that a correction reduces a false claim's grip, but doesn't fully erase it. The lie keeps tugging at your judgment even after you agree it's false. Once a story is in your head, the retraction is a smaller, later, more boring file, and your mind keeps reaching for the original. That's the 6th stop. By the time the truth arrives, the lie has already moved in. And those are the 6. Look at the whole road, and notice not one stop required you to be stupid. Repetition wearing truth's costume. A few voices made to feel like a crowd. Outrage doing the spreading. A belief turned into a team. A clever mind recruited to defend it. And a correction that arrives too late to fully land. Every stop is ordinary human wiring, aimed and stacked on purpose. Let me step out of the research for a second. If some part of you is still quietly sure this is mostly about other people, louder, less careful people than you, sit with that for a moment. That feeling, I'm the exception, is the exact one we opened with. It's not your immune system, it's the doorway. A risky reader is the one certain they can't be moved. Hold on to that. Now let me step back in, and here's the strangely good news in all of it. You don't get safe just by being smarter. You get safer by being a little humbler about your own certainty. So here's the tell, and it's not a fact check, it's a feeling check. Whenever a claim arrives already wrapped in certainty, ask 3 quiet questions. Am I believing this because I've seen it 100 times, or because I've actually checked it once? Is it making me feel something hot before I've understood it? And does it just happen to flatter my side? Those 3, repetition, outrage, and my side, are common fingerprints of propaganda. You don't have to know the truth on the spot. You just have to notice when you're being moved instead of informed. And the most useful habit of all is the one we started with. The moment you feel certain you're too sharp to be fooled, that's the moment to slow down. Not because you're foolish, because people who get fooled often feel exactly that sure. So one honest question before you go, what's a belief you hold strongly, that you've actually checked, versus one you've just heard so many times from people like you that it finally felt true? Sit with which is which. If this made your own certainty feel a little different, subscribe. It genuinely helps. Next time, what happens when the pressure isn't a message but a person? Standing over you, telling you to do something you know is wrong. The Milgram experiment and how far people will follow orders.